was trying to speed up in the car. Whoa! Oh, Jesus!
In the late hours of August 20th, 2024, a woman would be shot dead on Facebook Live over an unfinished fight. At around 10:03 p.m., the Birmingham Police Department was immediately called to a scene. The Monarch Ridge Apartments, typically a quiet residential area, had been transformed into a battleground, with gunfire ringing through the night for several minutes. After multiple reports of a shooting, officers arrived to find a scene that could only be described as a war zone. As officers entered the scene, they discovered the lifeless body of a 21-year-old female. Her body had been riddled with bullets, but the events surrounding her death were anything but ordinary. What was more disturbing was the whole battle had been captured on a Facebook Live video for the world to witness. This case reminds us of another unforgettable tragedy, the case of a 31-year-old woman who would be killed by a sidekick at a school drop-off on Facebook Live. If you haven't watched that one yet, I'll link it at the end. It's a heartbreaking echo. Now let's look at the life and tragic death of Asia Poole.
It is somewhat frustrating that no one is doing anything to alleviate the situation. However, the video surveillance is helpful to aid us in this investigation.
Asia Elise Poole was born on March 18, 2003 in Birmingham, Alabama, a city steeped in history, especially known for its pivotal role in the civil rights movement. Yet, despite the city's historical significance, Birmingham is also burdened by modern-day crime and violence, challenges that Asia would unknowingly face in her own life. From a young age, Asia exhibited a bright spirit and an unwavering devotion to her family. Her greatest joy was her 4-year-old daughter, Aria, who was the very center of her world. Despite facing hardships and personal loss, Asia was a symbol of resilience, a devoted mother whose love for her child eclipsed everything else. But she found herself navigating a path no mother should ever have to walk. At just 21 years old, Asia was already a single mother. She faced the difficult loss of Aria's father, yet her resolve to provide a stable and loving environment for her daughter never wavered. But despite her unwavering dedication, tragedy would soon strike, turning Asia's world upside down. Those who knew her described Asia as the kind of person who radiated kindness and compassion. She was always the first to lend a helping hand to those in need, her heart as open as her smile. Her vibrant personality made her a beacon of warmth in any room she entered, lighting up the lives of those around her. But despite the weight of young motherhood, Asia had big dreams. Asia's dreams were rooted in a future for Aria, a future she hoped would be full of possibilities. She worked hard every day, motivated by the promise of a better life for her daughter. Asia found comfort in the small joys of life, watching Aria grow, attending community events, and creating memories together. But even in the face of adversity, Asia always had a positive outlook. She focused on what she could give to Aria rather than what she lacked. However, like many young mothers, Asia's journey was not without its struggles. The challenges of being a young single mother were compounded by her desire to balance her role as a mother with the realities of everyday life. Though her dreams of a better future for herself and Aria were undeniable, Asia's life would tragically be cut short before she could fully realize those dreams. On the evening of August 20th, 2024, Asia found herself caught in a physical altercation at the Monarch Ridge Apartments, located in East Birmingham, a community that had long been struggling with an uptick in violence. What started as a heated dispute would quickly spiral out of control, turning into a deadly shooting.
This hoe trying to speed off in the car. Roll! Oh, Jesus!
Call the police department! Ooh. No! All right, you.
I can't take it. Come back here with me, bro.
Where's my sister, bro?
Take care of my sister.
What's up, man? What's up?
Come on, we gotta take it.
Oh my God. My sister. What's up? Take it off! Take it off! Take it off! Get the collar off! The hell off! Right there, bitch! And get in the gas! Get in the car! Make a key! Let's go! Alright, bro, come on! My sister! My sister! Hey, call police! My sister right here! Shit, man.
No!
19-year-old Janiyah Hendricks and Asia were involved in a heated quarrel over a shared romantic interest. As tensions mounted, the situation grew more violent, drawing in more individuals and turning the parking lot of the complex into a chaotic scene of shouting and aggression. The verbal exchange became a violent confrontation, and it wasn't long before gunshots rang out. In the midst of this turmoil, Asia's life was tragically taken in an instant. The shooting, which unfolded in the heat of the moment, was captured live on Facebook, an unsettling broadcast that brought the horrifying events to the attention of viewers around the world. But Asia's death was not a random act of violence. It was the tragic culmination of simmering tensions and personal conflicts that had been brewing within the community for months. The altercation, live-streamed for the world to witness, shocked and horrified those who saw it. It was an event that would forever be etched in the memories of those who watched as a life full of potential was violently cut short. Nothing could have prepared the police for what they were about to see. The Birmingham Police Department was immediately called to the scene at 10:03 p.m. after multiple reports of a shooting. Officers arrived to find a scene that could only be described as a war zone. The Monarch Ridge Apartments, typically a quiet residential area, had been transformed into a battleground, with gunfire ringing through the night for several minutes. After multiple reports of a shooting, officers arrived to find a scene that could only be described as a war zone. As officers entered the scene, they discovered the lifeless body of a 21-year-old female. Her body had been riddled with bullets. But the events surrounding her death were anything but ordinary. What was more disturbing was the whole battle had been captured on a Facebook Live video for the world to witness. But it was not just her. Alongside her, another victim, Damarian Rankins, had sustained a gunshot wound to his leg. He was immediately rushed to the hospital for treatment and would later describe the emotional toll Asia's death took on him and the others who knew her. The police immediately secured the area and began to investigate the cause of the violence.
Thank you, Destiny. Breaking news this morning, Birmingham police investigating a deadly shooting, one woman and another person injured.
Yeah, no suspects are in custody this morning, but Russell Jones is live with the latest from investigators. Russell, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, police are now trying to figure out exactly what happened at the Monarch Ridge Apartments on Gallant Drive. They say it happened around 10 o'clock last night in front of a crowd of people, folks even recording it on their cell phones, and now they're trying to get some help from those people to figure out what happened. Now, they say they arrived around 10 o'clock last night, and they found the victim lying on the ground in the parking lot. A second person was and taken to the hospital, but police say it all started with some sort of fight involving multiple people, and then that's when the started. Well, like I'd mentioned, there's some videos now circulating on social media. Those videos show a crowd watching, recording the fight, and police say it's just disappointing that nobody stepped in to break it up.
As a law enforcement officer in the Birmingham Police Department, it is somewhat frustrating that no one is doing anything to alleviate the situation. However, the video surveillance is helpful to aid us in this investigation.
Now, police say that the victim's car was also stolen, but they recovered that, and now they're just in the process of hoping to get that information. So if you know anything, you're asked to call investigators here at the police department, or you can reach out to Crime Stoppers. Reporting live in Birmingham, Russell Jones, WVRC 6 News, on your side.
It quickly became clear that the situation had escalated far beyond a simple argument, turning into a full-scale shootout. The scene was littered with bullet holes and debris, leaving authorities with a complicated puzzle to piece together. However, what investigators discovered next would change everything. A huge breakthrough came when investigators reviewed the Facebook live stream of the incident. The footage, which had captured the brutal confrontation and the subsequent gunfire, was crucial in identifying not only the perpetrators, but also the chaotic nature of the entire event. The video showed the moments leading up to the fight, the altercation itself, and the shooting, giving investigators invaluable evidence. The police were able to trace the trajectory of the incident through security camera footage at the Monarch Ridge Apartments, which further corroborated the details in the live stream. Witnesses confirmed seeing Janiyah Hendricks, her brother Justin Hendricks, and Taylor McLeod arriving at the scene in vehicles that were strategically positioned to block potential escape routes. This showed that the confrontation had been premeditated and that it wasn't just a random altercation, but a carefully orchestrated attack. The sheer intensity of the shooting left a scar on the entire apartment complex. However, there was still a key element missing in the investigation. Despite the mounting evidence and the identification of 3 suspects, authorities were still looking for answers. They knew they had uncovered only part of the story, and the true nature of the altercation was far from clear. On August 22, 2024, just 2 days after the shooting, Birmingham police announced the arrest of 3 suspects, Janiyah Hendricks, Justin Hendricks, and Taylor McLeod. This marked a significant breakthrough in the case, but investigators were quick to point out that these arrests might not be the last. 19-year-old Janiyah Hendricks was charged with first-degree theft of property for stealing Asia's car before the shooting. However, it was clear from the investigation that she played a much bigger role. Her role in the altercation went beyond just theft. She was implicated in the confrontation that led to Asia's death, and authorities were looking into additional charges that could stem from the events of that night. Justin Hendricks and Taylor McLeod, both charged with murder for the death of Asia, faced the most serious charges. In addition to murder, they were also charged with attempted murder for the shooting of Demarion Rankins, who had been injured during the gunfight. The police had confirmed that the Hendricks siblings and Taylor McLeod were all involved in the shooting, and the evidence pointed to a highly orchestrated and planned attack. The arrests were a major development, but police acknowledged that the investigation was far from over.
We have an update tonight on a story that horrified the community this week. Birmingham police have arrested 3 people as they investigate the shooting that killed a 21-year-old mother.
Your reporter James Giles covered the press conference about that at the Monarch Ridge Apartments. He's live and on your side with the latest tonight. James.
Yeah, Steve, Brittany, I asked police what started the fight and the Asia pool, and they did not answer. But they did make it clear that these arrests may not be the last.
The cameras do work and their footage is available, so we were able to access that to help further our investigation, but there again, they were supposed to be feeding into our real-time crime center.
And again, Chief Thurman says they're still investigating and could arrest additional people. Now, if you do have information, come forward. You can even do it anonymously if you call Crime Stoppers.
Birmingham Police Chief Scott Thurman confirmed that there could be more arrests to follow as they continued to analyze evidence and witness statements. The authorities also emphasized that they were looking into the possibility that others had played a part in orchestrating the violence.
At some point, fire erupted and approximately 168 rounds were fired from multiple shooters. During the homicide victim was shot and the male was injured by gunfire. Numerous vehicles and apartments were also damaged by gunfire. The Birmingham Police Department has arrested Justin Hendricks, black male, 20 years of age. He is charged with no bond, and he's also charged with attempted murder with a $60,000 bond. We've also arrested Taylor McLeod, a black male, 22 years of age. He is charged with murder with no bond and also attempted murder with a $60,000 bond. Janiyah Hendricks, black female, 19 years of age, is also charged with theft of property, first degree, and has a $30,000 bond. The Birmingham Police Department would like to thank the Mountain Brook Police Department for their assistance, as well as those who provided information to investigators to further this investigation. Thank you.
So how did Mountain Brook get involved in this?
They just had some information and played a pivotal role, I guess, if you will, without getting too much into the investigation.
So we know there's been a history of violence at this apartment complex. You told us now that their cameras that they had on property were not feeding into the real-time crime center. So what's assisted you all in this investigation, and do you know the last time that these cameras were feeding to you all?
They never did feed to us. The cameras do work and their footage is available, so we were able to access that to help further our investigation, but there again, they were supposed to be feeding into our real-time crime center.
Do you expect more people to be charged? I mean, how many people do you think were that night, and do you expect more charges?
We do believe there were more shooting than just these 2. This is an ongoing investigation, so we'll just see where that leads us. Our officers are working very hard every day to take illegal guns off the streets. We use our shot spotter data and other things. We're prosecuting these individuals federally. We've also spoken with our state legislators about filing legislation to make Glock switches illegal at the state level as well.
Did you all use the social media streams to assist you in any of your investigation?
Yes.
Well, are there going to be any more arrests? There's a lot of people out there.
So what I can say is this is an ongoing investigation. This is just one phase of it. There's still more to be done, and so we'll continue to investigate until we can find everyone involved.
However, just when it seemed that the investigation was nearing its conclusion, another arrest was made. One that would shock the community and further complicate the case. On August 23, 2024, just 3 days after the first arrests were made, police made a shocking development in the case. 17-year-old Akora Woods was arrested and charged with murder and attempted murder. This marked a significant turn in the case, as Akora Woods was not previously known to have been involved in the altercation. Akora was apprehended after investigators pieced together the evidence and realized that she had played a key role in the shooting. Authorities indicated that the new suspect was not only involved in the events surrounding Asia's death, but also in shooting at least one other person during the altercation. The motive for Akora's involvement was still unclear, and the investigation team was working diligently to figure out how she fit into the larger picture. But the arrest would leave the Birmingham community in disbelief. For many, the tragedy of Asia's death was still fresh, and the prospect of more people being involved in such a senseless act of violence was unsettling. The complex, once a quiet residential area, had become a focal point of tragedy and unrest. Shannon Ross, a resident of the Monarch Ridge Apartments, had witnessed the horrific events unfold firsthand. She described the chaos and violence that erupted that night, with gunshots ringing through the air as she watched from a distance. Her voice trembled as she recalled the scene, and it was clear that the trauma had left a lasting impact on her. Shannon explained how, in the wake of Asia's death, many residents had chosen to stay inside, fearing for their safety. The fear in the community was visible, and many families, including those with children, chose to keep their loved ones at home, unwilling to expose them to the escalating violence. The arrests were a step in the right direction, but authorities were still uncertain whether the full extent of the involvement of others had been discovered. The police had collected crucial evidence, including video footage from the Facebook live stream and security cameras at the apartment complex. However, despite these breakthroughs, the exact sequence of events and the role of each individual involved remained unclear. Investigators were working tirelessly to piece together the timeline, speaking with witnesses and collecting evidence to support the charges against those already arrested. As the trial dates loomed closer, the community continued to push for justice, demanding that the authorities leave no stone unturned. For Autumn and the rest of Asia's family, the emotional journey was far from over. Every arrest, every new development in the case only served to highlight how much they had lost. As the investigation moved forward, the tragic death of Asia Poole left behind a deep and painful void. Her family, friends, and community struggled to come to terms with the loss, but they remained determined to seek justice for the young mother whose life was stolen too soon. The emotional toll of Asia's death hit her family particularly hard. Her sister Autumn Nicole was especially devastated by the loss. The bond between Asia, Autumn, and their brother had always been incredibly strong, and Asia's unexpected and violent death left Autumn in a state of disbelief. Her grief was unimaginable, and she poured her heart out on social media, sharing how much she would miss her sister and how she would care for Ariaya, Asia's 4-year-old daughter, whom she had promised to look after. In her emotional post, Autumn expressed her sorrow and regret, writing about how hard it was to accept that Asia was gone. She shared her memories of growing up together, their sisterly bond, and the love that Asia had for her daughter. Autumn vowed to honor her sister's memory and make sure Ariaya would always know how much her mother loved her. Autumn's pain was compounded by the overwhelming messages from friends and family. In the days following Asia's death, Autumn made the difficult decision to put her business on hold. As the owner of a custom clothing and accessories business, Autumn had been busy fulfilling orders, but the emotional weight of losing her sister made it nearly impossible to continue. She updated her customers, asking for their understanding and offering refunds for pending orders, reflecting the overwhelming sadness she felt. The grief was so intense that Autumn couldn't even open her social media inbox without becoming overwhelmed by messages. She shared a video of herself and Asia to pay tribute to their close relationship, and her profile picture was updated with a heartfelt message for her sister. The community could feel Autumn's pain and rally around her, but it was clear that this was a loss that would take time to heal. Asia Poole was laid to rest with a funeral that reflected the deep love and respect her family and community had for her. Aunt Michelle P., who was a pillar of support for the family, organized a fundraiser to help cover the funeral expenses. In her heartfelt appeal, Michelle shared her grief over losing a beloved family member and emphasized the importance of laying Asia to rest with dignity and respect. The community responded generously, donating funds to ensure Asia had the funeral she deserved. Despite the immense loss, the family and community gathered together to support one another during the funeral and in the days following. The emotional weight of the event was heavy, but the sense of unity among Asia's loved ones shone through. The people closest to her knew that although Asia's life was tragically short-cut, her memory would continue to inspire those who knew her. Asia's death serves as a painful reminder of the underlying issues that contribute to violence in our communities. It's a tragic story of how unresolved conflicts and unchecked violence can spiral out of control, leading to devastating consequences. Asia, a young mother with so much potential, lost her life in a senseless act of violence that could have been prevented. Asia's story is a reminder that we all have a responsibility to make our community safer, to intervene when we see violence brewing, and to support those in need. The impact of her death will resonate for years to come, but her family's unwavering love and commitment to seeking justice will ensure that her voice is never forgotten. If you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one.